passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.
Good morning, everybody. Greetings once again and welcome to the Inside Show this morning. We're happy to have you online. Yes, and we're going to dig into a very sensitive topic here this morning. We're going to talk on give a child a home, and that is more likely, if you give a child a home, this is a child that don't have a home. That is what I'm talking about, or someone that is given up for adoption. So that is what we're concentrating on. And I have beautiful people here in the studio. And remember, if you didn't subscribe as yet, come on, girlfriend, come on, boyfriend, you do that right now because you want to know what is happening on the Inside Show, right? So yes, subscribe and we will definitely keep you in the loop for what is happening on the Inside Show. So yes, so we have beautiful people in the studio, and these people actually adopted children, and we're gonna hear their story. And we also have online via Zoom, we have Frida. And Frida is going to she's a social worker and she deals with adoption. So it is such an honor to have her on our show here this morning. I am so privileged this morning to have her with us, just to take us through this sensitive topic here this morning. So without wasting any time, we're going to loosen it up a little bit, and we're going to just have a little bit of an icebreaker so that my guest can feel a little bit at home. So yes, I'm gonna give it over to them to introduce themselves quickly, and then we're gonna go over to our mirror. You know me, that's my signature. So if you get your mirror out quickly wherever you are, maybe you're at work and your mirror is right in your handbag. I know, girlfriend, you keep that mirror with you all the time because you want to put on your lipstick and so forth. So get that mirror out and let that mirror speak to you for a while. So let's give over to Candace, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, Pastor John, thank you so much for having us today. I'm Candace Sammy. I'm a daughter of the King. I am a wife to an amazing husband, married for 15 years, together for much more, I can't remember. I have 3 beautiful children, and today I'm here to give hope to those that feel that they have a hopeless situation, and I'm here to encourage you that there is another way out. That is why I'm here. And my mirror, when I looked at it this morning, I just said to myself, I'm here for a purpose. And that's what I said, Lord, you have made me for such a time as this, and this is the purpose I'm here for, is to give hope to a hopeless situation.
Right, you go, gal. Right over to Mr. Sammy.
Good morning. Thank you, Pastor Joan. I'm Serrano Sammy. Like my wife said, we've been married for 15 years. We'll be married 16 years in November. This morning when I got up and I looked in the mirror, I said to myself, you need to tell your story so you can keep other men and other couples motivated.
Right. Thank you so much. I am so happy that you guys actually did the mirror thing as well. You know, you went so quick over that mirror. When I look into this mirror here this morning, I see some lovely pink lipstick, guys, that I'm wearing here because I love pink. You know, pink is my color, and that is why I wear pink here this morning. And I'm so grateful this morning. This is a topic very close to my heart because I remember years back when I delved into this topic, I could see such a lot of misinformation and also things that people don't really understand, and therefore I find it fit just to actually bring this topic to you. And open up, guys, and let us talk about this. And don't forget, if you are online and you have a question to ask, just hit it. Ask the question. We will answer the question for you if we can. I know our social worker online will be able to answer some of these questions. So yeah, just hit the question and we will definitely try to answer it for you this morning. So yes, I wonder if Frida, if you maybe can just introduce yourself for us. I will really appreciate that.
Okay, so I'm Frida Tanton and I work for ABBA Adoptions, which is an adoption agency in Pretoria. And
Sound, guys, I can't hear.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Right. Okay, we ready?
Frida Tanton, I work for ABBA Adoptions in Pretoria, and we're an adoption agency that actually works all over Gauteng. Does it sound better now?
Okay, I think we have a little bit of a difficulty hearing Frida. It's coming through on there, but not with me. Okay. So I think when I'm going to speak to Frida, I will wear this. But I think go ahead and just tell us more about yourself, please, Frida. Sorry about that. They can hear you. They can hear you online, but we can't hear you here. So it is fine. You carry on. I will put on my earphones later if I ask the questions. Thank you.
Okay. So I've actually been a social worker for the past 30 years, more than 30 years, and the last 10 years of these 30 years I spent in the adoption sector, focusing specifically on adoptions. And I think one of the reasons I'm here this morning is because I was privileged enough to journey with Serrano and with Candace through their last adoption journey. And that was really, for me, something to be grateful for, to see these two people who already have adopted two children step up and adopt a third one. So for me, that was really something that was they are very close to my heart in terms of that, and seeing what they went through and the kind of people they are.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Frida. We're gonna just dig into the program right now, and I know you are ready to roll. So let's go. I'm gonna start off with something that this song was sang by Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson actually wrote this song, and I just want to read the lyrics to you because this song brings tears to my eyes, guys. Honestly speaking, there were quite a few artists who actually sang the song, but I want to just dig into the lyrics here this morning. The name of the song is "What About the Children?" So it goes like this: tears streaming down, her heart is broken because her life is hurting. So who am I? He wears a frown, his dreams are choking, and because he stands alone, his dreams will die. So humbly I come to you and say, as I sound aloud the warfare of today, hear me, I pray, what about the children? To ignore is so easy. So many innocent children who choose the wrong way. So what about the children? Remember when we were children, and if not for those who loved us and who cared enough to show us, where would we be today? Sir, where is your son? Where lies his refuge? And if he can't come to you, then where can he run? Such a foolish girl, yet still she's your daughter. And if you will just reminisce your days of young, you see, if not where you've been, nor what you've done. Because I know a friend who specializes in the great outcomes. See, his love overcomes. So what about the children? Remember when we were children, and if not for those who loved us and who cared enough to show us, where would we be today? And that is the song that Michael Jackson wrote. and it's very close to my heart. It's what about the children? So you and I have children, and some of us don't have the privilege of having children. But you know what? There's hope for you, and that is why the show called Give a Child a Home. You are on the Inside Show with Talk with Joan Thursdays. Yes. And you know what? To start it off, I started it off on a very light note to tell you, think about it. What about the children of our country, our beautiful country, South Africa? What about the children around the world? Children who don't have the privileges of being in a safe environment called a home. I found in my research in 2017, there were 2.8 million orphans in South Africa. That is an enormous amount of children. And this includes children without a living biological mom or dad, or both parents, which is equivalent to 14% of all children in South Africa. And the total number of orphans increased by over 1 million between 2002 and 2009. Beloved people, I am calling upon you, if you can, think about our children. So with me, as I said, you heard them, is a lovely couple, and they actually adopted children, and I want them to share their story. They have a beautiful testimony, and I'm excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the show and telling your story to the world out there. So yes, I'm going to give over to Candace, and then you can just jump in wherever you want to. This is just a talk, guys. So it's not formal, right? So lay back, just enjoy the topic here this morning. So Candace, tell me a little bit about your journey on adopting children.
Thanks again, Pastor Joan. So basically, I'm going to start off where we started. So Serrano and I got married. I was 21 and he was 25 at the time. And when we got married, we really didn't have having babies on our mind. We were enjoying ourselves.
Right.
So the first year, we were just enjoying ourselves and, just getting to know one another. And in the second year, same story. Children wasn't up the discussion, but I got ill one day and I could feel that this is not normal.
Right.
And I actually yelled and I said, Serrano, please come, there's something very wrong with me. And we rushed to the hospital and they said to us, you know what, we can't help you now, because at that time we weren't on a good medical aid either. So they said, please go to the gynecologist the next morning. It was the first time I ever set foot into a gynae's office.
Wow.
So I've never ever been to a gynecologist. So I was a bit, I was fearful. It was unknown to me, and I was joined by my mom. So my mom went with me, and the gynae actually asked the questions that he asked. He done his examination, and he said to me, have I ever heard of something called an ectopic pregnancy? And I said to him, no, because we didn't do Google at that time.
Right.
And I said to him, I don't know what that is. So he says to me, you know what, I don't think you are having one, but this is what it is. It's basically your tubes are blocked and the embryo doesn't have anywhere to go. It doesn't go to the womb, so it starts growing in your tube, and your tube can burst and you can actually die.
Wow.
So I really need you guys to go and do blood works immediately so that I can see what's going on. And while we were driving there, I was so confused because I was saying to myself, am I pregnant? I didn't know I was pregnant, and now he's telling me about an ectopic pregnancy. And we went home, done the blood work, went home, and the call came, I think, half an hour later because it was an emergency. He needed to have the blood works. And he said to me, Mrs. Sammy, you are pregnant, but I need you to come in for surgery tomorrow morning, because the pregnancy is dropping and it's not looking good. Wow. And then I heard pregnancy. That's what I heard. That was the first shock, was I'm pregnant. My mom looked at me because she could see there's something very wrong with the conversation. I phoned Serrano and he was just confused. We were both confused. We've never heard of this. We didn't, let alone we didn't know we were pregnant. And the next morning we drove off. I went into theater immediately. And after theater, obviously you are delusional, you're coming off the anesthetic and stuff. I looked at my mom and then when I looked at Serrano and I asked what happened. And they said to me, just wait, just hold on. And the doctor came and he said to me, Mr. Sammy, we needed to take out the tube because it was really ruptured. Wow. And you actually had, I think, 3 liters or 5 liters of blood in you, and it was we needed to take it out. But then the first question came to mind was, so what happens now? Can we not have children? And then he said to us, don't worry, you've still got 1 tube left. Don't worry. People fall pregnant with 1 tube, so don't you worry. And so we were hopeful. Then we were like, okay, no, that's fine. And now we started taking this very seriously of falling pregnant because we could see that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So we started off trying, and 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I think 8 months, 9 months. And my mom, because she's also a Pentecostal girl, we went to church, and every altar call I would go. And every person would pray for me.
Yeah.
And we would have prayer meetings, and there was always the intercession of praying for us to be pregnant, and also drinking the weirdest things to fall pregnant as well, because you are just listening to everybody's advice, and it was bitter stuff, and it is this mittelkie and that mittelkie and all of those things just to fall pregnant. And then at that point in time, as it be, everybody else around you is falling pregnant. People that are not married are falling pregnant.
Yes.
And then you wonder to yourself, well, what's wrong with us, God? Why is this happening to us? So I think 9 or 10 months later, I was at work and I had a severe pain, and I knew something was wrong. I couldn't walk. So Rana had to come and fetch me, and immediately we went to the gynae again, and he said to me, Mr. Sam, we need to rush you. You need to go into theater again. So we went to theater the next morning, and driving the way there, I said to Serrano, I won't be able to give you children because this is my last tube.
Oh my word.
And he said to me, I don't worry about that as long as you are with me. Don't worry about that. As long as you are okay.
Can I just say, so just to describe what Candace is speaking about, if you look at how a woman's built and where the egg comes from and where it sits, if you look at, if that egg is in this tube it's like this, and it starts growing and gets bigger, and eventually when it explodes, it's in a place where it should not be. That's how dangerous. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of how severe and how dangerous this ectopic pregnancy is.
Yeah. So obviously this one was very sensitive because my mom, his mom, and Serrano was not really, he was really worried about my health, and both my parents, Serrano's mom and my mom, but they were worried about my tube as well.
Yeah.
So they went to the gynae and they said to him, please, this is my mom said to him, this is my only child.
Yeah.
And Serrano's mom said, this is my eldest son, please, you need to do something. And the surgery was much longer. The surgery goes for, it's actually a cesarean cut. And when he came out of theater, he showed them the pictures and showed them that is where the embryo is. And I'm trying my utmost best. And I woke up from the anesthetic and I said to them the first thing again, what happened? And my mom just sighed, and I thought to myself, oh Lord, it's over. I'm not going to be able to have children. And she said to me, don't worry. And he came in and he said, I managed to save your tube.
Wow.
And he said, I stitched it, and it's actually as thin as your hair strand.
Wow.
The stitch is as thin as your hair strand. And he said, please just be careful. And he looked very, also like he was very empathetic to us because he knew we didn't have any babies. And he just looked and he said, I saved it. And
you're still so young.
Yes, I was 23 24, 23 at the time. And fine, and we just went on. I remember my mom's got a daycare, and she's my neighbor. And I used to get so depressed, and I would go to her creche and look at all these children. And I would say, but you don't want to give me one, God.
Wow.
Look at all these kids. Why are you doing this to us? I was used to question him all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I found myself one morning, I was off that day, I don't know why, and I read the Bible. And as I read it, the word adoption came into my mind, and my heart started racing.
Yeah.
And I thought, adoption.
Yeah.
And I said, Lord, I think you're speaking to me, but I need you to give me a sign that this is what you are saying.
Yeah.
And I just opened up the Bible, and I read a scripture that said we are all adopted in Christ Jesus.
Absolutely, yes.
And that was this confirmation, like, okay, I heard what you were saying. And the whole day I was like, but Serrano's not going to agree to it. Because I know it's different from men, you know.
Yes.
And I thought, and we never spoken about it before.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait for him to come from work. So the minute he came from work, I said to him, I couldn't even let him sit down or stuff. I said, what do you think? What do you think about adoption? And he looked at me and he said, I don't know, where do we start? And that's all he needed to say.
Wow.
And
you
it was
are
like,
such a gentleman.
and then he said, I don't know, where do we start? And that same night, and this is just God, that same night we had a insert from ETV, and they said if you want to know about adoption, or if you want to, if you have know of any child that is abandoned, this is the number. And then the number was there, and that number connected us to an agency, which is ABBA.
Wow.
Which is where Frida comes from. So that is how everything just fell into place automatically. It was really God ordained from the get-go, because we got the number. We didn't have Google. Google wasn't our friend at that time.
Yeah.
So we had to phone around, and we drove to different agencies. And at that point in time, Serrano and I, the numbers that they were talking about, we couldn't afford those amounts, you know.
Yeah, because I do have a question on that. So from that process, when she asked you that question, what crossed your mind then? Did you think, wow, must I now adopt children?
No, so the when she asked the question, I didn't think about why should we adopt. My answer was always that because we in this thing together.
Yes.
And although she was the one that went for the operations. She was the one that lost the tubes. It was both of us lost a lot, right? And the thing is for husbands and wives and boyfriends out there, just be there, support your wife, support your girlfriend, support your partner in this. It's not an easy road that you're gonna walk, but just ensure your wife or your partner that you are there and you're looking out for them, and that you have the best interests in heart. Because for me also, the thing with adoption comes from the story of Mary and Joseph.
Yes.
It for me it boils down to that, where Joseph had to father Jesus.
Yeah.
And when you
and Christ say we all adopted.
Yes. So for me it wasn't a thing for adoption. It was actually like it's excited, like we were pregnant basically.
Wow.
So when she brought up that, it was like we're pregnant now, and then everything is going to take place from there. Yes.
Awesome, man. Phew. And so your process now, you have the number.
Yes.
So now you're calling.
So we called, and eventually I got hold of ABBA Adoptions, and ABBA had a list of requirements as well, but they were so willing to help.
Yeah.
So they consulted us first to see if this is really what we wanted, and the hand-holding process was amazing, because at no point in time did we feel fearful because they made us and they assured us this is a process, and it went through where we had to do screening, both Serrano and I, psychometric test to see if we are mentally okay to do this.
Oh, really?
It's an intense process before you even make that decision. They go take you through this process so that you know what you are
What you're
in
doing,
for.
yeah,
Yes. And you're
yeah.
not doing it because you just feel, oh, I'm broody, I need a child.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went for counseling with other couples as well. They tell you the pros, the cons, when to tell your child, what to say, what not to say, all of those type of things. And also, we had to do this little album about our life, and it was so amazing that this little album goes to a birth mother that they're matching you with, so that she decides if she would like to give up her baby.
Yeah, and on that note, I would like Frida to come in there, because this is fascinating for me, to be quite honest, that how do you match, because I was looking at someone who also adopted, and when I look at Serrano and Candace's children, they look then like them. So how do you guys match? They then look like the parents.
Well, that's a question that's really hard to answer in a certain way, because we have our principles. I mean, it's if you're sitting in a meeting and you're a bunch of social workers having to make decisions, you have to have guidelines that you follow, and the guidelines would be very specific about, first of all, matching children within their own race before we match them outside their own race. But apart from that, we also have biological moms who are involved, and they say, I want to be able to choose who my child goes to, because that gives me closure, that gives me a sense of peace. If I can see those faces, if I can see what these people are like, and I can, as a result of seeing them and getting a connection with them, make the decision that they're going to be the people that my baby goes to, it helps them a lot with their healing process. So that's the one thing we love to do that. Not all moms are open for that. For some moms, that's a bit scary.
Nice.
But that's always a very, very lovely process when a mom actually chooses the profile. The mom does not get surnames or where people are from or any other details. She basically just gets this photo or this photo book and the names.
Oh, okay.
But when moms are not ready to do it, then the social worker who is working with the baby basically assumes the role of the mom. So she's the one who sits in the meeting and actually listens.
Okay.
And we take her feelings into account, or her feelings about who this couple is. And it's basically based on the needs of a child. What home does a child need? So that's always our guiding principle in matchings. And when we say that, we say it's always in the best interest of a child to grow up in a family that looks as much as him as possible. You don't want to walk around and the first thing that people think when they look at you is like, oh, you're adopted because you don't look anything like your family. So we always try and do that. And I don't want to over spiritualize things, but I think a lot of the times the decision is completely taken out of our hands. And when a couple is on the waiting list, there will all of a sudden be a baby that really matched them physically. And it's not planned by us or planned by us in any way. So that is one thing I can say that happens for certain.
Right.
Every time.
So tell me, looking at your family, if I didn't know you so close, I would have never ever known that those children are adopted, But now looking at the process, what was your challenges? What challenges did you face in the whole process, the waiting process, going through all the screening and stuff like that? Because this is a real show, and we actually want to put it out there.
It is a process, but I think for myself and Candace, the hardest thing is the wait. So after you've gone through everything that you needed to do, so gone through the police checks, you've gone through the meetings with the agency.
So tell me a little bit, what is the process? Take me through the process, like, because now I hear it's the screening, and then I hear it's police thingies.
Okay. So, it's first and foremost, you obviously go for your meetings with the social worker, and they then need to know that you don't have a criminal record. So you
Right.
need to go and get a police clearance certificate report done, and also you need to be not listed on the I don't know what they call it, but you shouldn't be a pedophile basically,
Right,
because you're going to be
right.
taking care of
Right.
the child. So that's also a process. So remember, now you have to wait for your clearance certificate from the police, and then you need to wait for this department to also give you that. Then I need to be in good health as well as Serrano. So you go for a doctor's check, make sure that your status, what your status is from an HIV point of view. Is he in good health? Because if he is not good and I'm not good, we can't take on this
Okay,
baby.
that's-
So that's what they basically want from us. And then there's also a screening to come. They'll come home and see what the environment
Where the
is
child's
like.
gonna live.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
So to add on, in terms of the waiting process, for us, it was always done in faith.
Right.
Because this is a faith thing.
Yeah.
You need to have faith that you are going to be matched. You will need to have faith that God is going to come through, because it's easier to see your pregnancy while you're growing, but you don't know what's happening if
Right,
you're
right,
waiting.
right.
So with us, I always, with our firstborn, I said to my husband, the baby's coming in October. And he said, no, how do you know the baby's coming in October? And I said, by faith. And we built a nursery without having to know when the baby's coming. And the baby came in October. The day we got an email to say congratulations, this was the first time we got news. Congratulations, you're a mother. I can't explain to you the feeling.
Yo.
I was at work and I got this email to say congratulations, you're a mother to a baby girl born at 2.8 kgs on the 4th of October. And I jumped up from my chair and ran away from my desk.
Wow.
And everybody at work, because they knew what the process was, they were looking at me and they're like, she's got a baby. And I found my mom, I found Serrano, and he didn't say anything. I think he was in such a shock.
Yeah.
I put the phone down on him. I'm like, oh, you still going through the motions. And then I went and I found my mom. And my mom started praying. She was just glorifying God. I found Serrano's mom as well, and she was crying. They were all bawling.
Shame.
And you won't believe me, the minute you know you're a mother, the maternal instinct goes in immediately. You start wondering where my child is. You want the baby in your arms.
Yeah.
You want to know.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep until the day, because I heard baby cries in my ear.
Wow.
And I was wondering, are they picking her up? Are they looking after her? Are they all of those type of things? And so Serrano had to go away. He didn't even go on the day when
Serrano,
we
what happened to you then?
Yeah, so when Jordan came, I wasn't there, so I was gone on a work trip for 2 weeks. I was in Amsterdam for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But when I did eventually get back, when I saw Jordan for the first time, I was like speechless. I just stood there and just looked at her for I don't know for how long. But yeah, it was completely an amazing experience when I saw Jordan for the first time.
And you immediately accepted her as this is our child.
Yes. Mm.
Wow.
Because
That's awesome.
you love the children before
Yes.
before you
matched.
you are matched. The love is already there.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the placement now
Right.
to take place. And regardless of if it's a boy or if it's a girl, the love is already there.
So do you ask what you actually want? What gender?
There is a criteria. So when you go for your meetings with the agency,
Right.
There's a lot of things that they ask you, your specifics. But we were specific in a few things. But you can gender, hair, eye color, skin color, HIV positive, yes or no, and all the other things. All we just wanted was just a baby.
A
Wow.
healthy baby.
Mm.
Awesome, man. I like your story. It's a very interesting story. It's not only faith, because you find people out there that don't really understand the term faith, but it's a story that gives you go, in the sense that, you know what, this can happen to me too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I so want a child,
Yeah.
but now I hear this testimony, and it gives them go. And once again, thank you. I would like to ask Frida, if I can ask you a question. Do we find failed adoptions?
Very few, but we do. And that would, yeah. So let me focus on the positive first. So what we do at ABBA, and that is the counseling that Candace referred to, that they have to go through to with other couples. We call it preparation group. So what we do before the time is we actually sit down and with the couples who are already screened and is just ready to go on the waiting list. And we talk through the issues, because our process is aimed at empowering people and preparing them so that when they take a baby home, they know if bonding doesn't happen on the first day, that shouldn't feel like there's something lacking in them, for instance. So we go through those all those issues so that they can feel that they are okay and they are able to do this. And that is one of the things we do to make sure that there aren't failed adoptions. But this is the human race. We can never
Right.
guarantee anything with everyone. Some people take all the information on board and will be careful in, for instance, sharing the children's history with just anyone, or talking about the child's private issues and respecting the child. And others are differently minded and would want to do things differently. And one of the things I can say, the failed adoptions that I see are very closely connected to parents not telling the children about adoption and about
Yeah.
the fact that they are adopted.
Yeah, I wanted to
And-
ask you, do you find that? Do you actually find that the mother give the child up for adoption and then afterwards rethink it and then says no, retract it?
So let me just clarify for you, because I think we have different ideas of failed adoption. Failed adoption for me is when the adoption doesn't work and the adoptive parents actually don't cope with the child. We only at ABBA, we only place children once the adopted legal stuff is finalized. So there's no adoptability left. All the legal stuff is finalized. So nobody can come back and say, I want that child, I have a right to that child. And that's why we don't place children as newborns. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes there's other issues that we need to deal with. So it can be then that the child is already 9 months by the time we match them with parents and place them with parents. Specifically for that reason, we don't want a parent to come back and say, now I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
I think that for all of us would be beyond failing. So if that is what you're referring to in terms of failed adoptions, then we don't have.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to know that, because you do, sometimes you think that what if the mother come back and say, you know what, I thought about this thing, so the child is already
In the place.
placed. You know what I'm saying? And then afterwards the mother just comes back. That crossed my mind, you know, and that is why I asked this. I asked the question. So with the two of you guys now having your first child, actually, how many children do you have now?
So when Jordan turned 2, we said, no, you need a brother. Because we
Wow.
wanted a pigeon pair, and
Nice, man.
So with with our son, the middle son, boy, he came much older. He was 6-7 months. The process
He
was
looks
a
like
bit
you
long.
now.
Yes, the process was very long, but
He has your cheeks and everything.
Yes. He's got such a beautiful personality, all 3 of our kids, and we thought we're done. We
Okay.
thought now we've got our pigeon pair
Right.
and everything is fine. And even with our middle child in faith, because faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So with him, I went and lay-byed all his clothes already. I didn't know when he was coming, but I needed to do something that is going to show that, God, yeah, I'm doing my work. You need to bring the boy. So when he came, everything was sorted as well. everything just falls into place. So we were done. And obviously, the older they get, I said, Serrano, what about a third? And that was last 2 years ago. And he said, no, man. No, man. Now must start from nappies and
Over
milk
again.
and these the boy Alessandro and Jordan, they wanted a baby brother or sister.
So do you name them? Do you
Yes,
give them
we
the...
name them. So I said, so we were 3 now against 1. And we used to talk about it dinner time.
Oh,
It would be
shame.
nice if we have a baby brother and baby sister. And he eventually warmed up to it.
Right.
And the main reason I also, not the main reason, one of the reasons was after my second ectopic, I had a third ectopic pregnancy. So I had 3 ectopic pregnancies.
Oh.
And after my third ectopic pregnancy, we already had our firstborn by then. But I felt like I need 3 babies.
I
There's
think
3
it was
children.
always going to be 3.
It was meant to be 3.
I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Because based on what happened and the amount, so Candace got 3 scars on her body. So
Okay.
it was always going to be 3. But I think the third one was more surprised than...
So that was your surprise baby.
Yeah. So
How old is the second one?
the second one is turning 11 now next week, and then our eldest is 13. She's turning 14,
In
and
October.
then Logan is 1 and turning 2.
So why did
there's
you
a
wait
big
so
gap.
long?
I
So
don't
that's your-
know. I honestly
Monkeys.
don't know, but it's nice because they help you with the third one, and it's also nice because they went through the process with us. So they knew the process. They were involved with the process. Frida involved them as well.
That's so beautiful, eh?
She asked them to write little notes of why they want a baby brother and sister. It was also opportunity for us to ask all the questions that they were wondering about, because now they're going through this process. And also the wait. They were like, but when is this baby coming?
Yeah, tell me a little bit, how long do you wait? How long did you wait before you had the first one in your arms and then the second? So how long did you wait?
I think in total we waited 1.5 years. No?
For all 3 or
each,
just...
no, for each
Yeah.
1.5. Basically 1.5 years.
Okay.
But the wait is very long. So with our last born, Logan, I didn't know when he was coming, and Frida did say, "Hey, a boy, a baby boy," because we didn't
He's
say
so
we
cute,
didn't say
eh?
a baby boy. We said we wanted obviously a colored child, and she said it's very difficult at this point in time, and maybe she can also elaborate as to why it's difficult. So she did tell us it's so difficult to get a colored child, and I just said, Lord, this third, you pressed it within our spirit to do this, and I know we're going to have our third son. And I didn't know when the baby was coming, but I had his cot up already. And I had his name Logan written because I didn't know whether it was going to be a girl or a boy, so it was a unisex name. So we both decided on Logan.
Faith without works is dead.
So I got the cot up, and every single morning I prayed on his cot. I prayed for the birth mother and the womb that is being carried in. I would pray for her to have a sound mind and not to be anxious. And I would pray for him to be in good health.
Wow.
And I would speak life over the cot. And I'd say, I pray his destiny into him, and this is the child that he's going to be, and all of those type of things. And I done that in the June. And he came, maybe you should say, when Frida actually phoned us to say that Logan is there.
Yeah, so what happened is, every year for our anniversary, myself and Candice, we try and get away. So we were in Durban. We were on the beach actually that day on our anniversary. And we were walking back to the car, right? And then I got a call, and then Frida phoned and said, congratulations. I can't even remember what she said. But then I put the phone down, and then Candice said, who was that? I said, it was Frida. And then I told her, okay, phone us back. Then she phoned back, and so the two of us were sitting in the car, Frida phoned and she gave us the news, and then we both were just sitting there and crying in the car that day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
because we were so relieved, and it was a boy. We had a GPS, but we got lost because we were now so. Our minds were now not. We were just thinking about this baby boy, and when the day when we got him, the kids, the smiles, it was like he was always there.
Oh my word.
He was 7 months old. He never cried the evening. It was like, and it was so, even in actual fact, it was like with all three of them, they knew us and we knew them. It wasn't a struggle to bond. It was just normal.
Yeah, the amazing thing with the kids was, it was when they came, it was just the normal baby cries, milk, cleaning those, but it was never like they were crying just for the sake of crying. They cried because they were hungry, or they needed to be cleaned, or they needed to be fed. But when they were with us, it was just like, it was normal. So they were born from Candace, and then, it just went from there.
Wow, so there's a connection right from the
Yes.
beginning.
Yes.
That is awesome. Wow. That is something. So, yes, as you said, Frida, why is it difficult to find a colored child?
I think we need to remember in South Africa there's minority groups in terms of like the Asian population, the colored population, and the white population. So there are a lot less of those race children available for adoption, for instance, if you compare with black children. But also, I think it's also very organizational based, because we are in Pretoria, we serve a certain community, and our referrals come from that community.
Okay.
And that's not traditionally colored communities. There's other organizations that maybe work in Eldorado Park or in Reiger Park who will have a completely different reality.
Right.
Because they work in areas where
Right.
they are able to get more referrals. So it's basically as uncomplicated as that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I can agree with you that it's different areas. Yeah. Okay, so now the question that is always lingering in my mind is, when do you tell the children that you are not their biological mom or dad? When did you tell? When did you tell before the social worker answered? When did you guys tell them that?
So I think with our firstborn, she was 3. We started telling her in play, in stories. So with Abba, they told us that at different levels you start introducing certain things. So with our firstborn, we made a story up about this flower, and God wanted the flower to be looked after, and there was no soil for the flower to go in. I remember the story or something. And then so she would look at me and be like, okay. And then we started, when she was a bit older, started talking about a birth mother. So I would say we love our birth mother, because if we didn't have your birth mother, we wouldn't have you.
Right.
And we love your birth mother. And then she heard birth mother, and the older she got, she was, I think, 9. My friend called me and she said, listen here, Jordan is asking Keisha about where's her birth mother, because now she's saying she's got a birth mother and a mother. So she now started talking about it to her friends, because now we started introducing it. And then, of course, when Alessandro came, Jordan could start speaking also and say, the day when we went to go pick you up. And then he would say, okay, and then we started introducing him to it as well. And now we started, the older they got, we started saying words like adoption. What does adoption mean? Because we knew that they're going to hear it not from us, they might hear it from a family
someone
member
else,
or in the street.
Yeah.
So it's better to come from us.
Absolutely.
So we're very open in our home when it comes to adoption. Frida also said that we should have once a month or every second month a day that they just talk about adoption. If they have any questions,
Right.
they just talk about it.
Right.
So we introduced that as well. So it's very common, the adoption word is very common, and what's beautiful about it is that they also now say they're going to adopt when they're older. When we get
Wow.
married, we're also going to adopt, you know.
That is so nice. So did you find it hard
No,
to tell them that they were adopted?
no. I think for us it was easy because we started early, introducing bits by bits with regards to the adoption and their birth mothers and how we feel and how where they come from. But I think whether your children is adopted or not, you should start, educating them about life and about people, and that it's not going to be easy every day, and it's also not going to be hard every day. But you are going to face challenges, and just make sure that you're rooted and you know who you are. So we teaching them to stick to their beliefs.
Right. Awesome. Wonderful. So, from your advice for someone out there who maybe have these children, adopted children, but don't know when to tell them, because I know of a lot of cases. I have an actual friend who only found out when she was married, her mother was on a deathbed, and then only she found out that she was adopted. It was always in her mind, according to her, but nobody told her. And when she asked, she was told lies. So from your advice, Frida, how do we go about with this thing?
I think it's just really important to be honest from the outset and say that if you don't tell your child the truth, you are destroying trust. So if you haven't told your child, the time to start is right now. And depending on the age of your child, it could be easier or harder. You heard Candace say that we say start with stories. And the reason for that is that we are building a child's reality.
Right.
What a child experiences, what they hear in their home, that becomes their reality. And what we want to do right from the outset is teach children that adoption is normal. It's not an alternative way. It's not a plan B way. It's not a second-rate option. It is just another way of becoming a family. That's why we would use symbolic stuff like flowers or whatever and make a story and say, even in nature, sometimes something does not grow up the way it was planned to be, and it's still good. So if you are a parent who haven't told your child, then I start today. If you don't know how, get a psychologist or a social worker involved. Get guidance from somebody about where to start so that you can use this as a way of building trust and not destroying trust. Because children know that they haven't been with you from the beginning. Children know that there was an experience when I was born, when this person that I was living with for 9 months is all of a sudden gone. Whether I was abandoned, whether whatever happened, they have a memory of that.
Yeah.
They can't put words to it, but they have that feeling in their body. So many children that I work with that only found out as teenagers would say to me, I always knew. I always had a feeling that there was something more to my story. So it's not something we can hide from our children.
So what will your advice be to a mother out there or parents out there who have adopted and still didn't tell their children?
Now, and they need to get guidance from a professional person on how to do it. They need to sit down with their child and say, listen, they must have this uncomfortable conversation. What I always feel when we work with children, we need to give them new information that might be traumatic for them. And very traumatic. This is a traumatic thing for children to find out at 11 or 12 or 13 that I've been adopted. is to first start a conversation in your home about adoption. Talk about adoption. What is adoption? Why do people adopt? What happens to adopted children? Are adopted children loved as much as biological children? So you can start with all these smaller issues and kind of build a context for your child.
Right.
So that your child can have a positive attitude about adoption. And from that, you can inform them and say, you were adopted.
So would you say,
It's not something that you just throw on them and it's this big bucket of cold water and now I'm so shocked I don't know where to go and what to do with all this information.
yeah, that's very true, eh? So would you say from your experience, is it better to tell the child when the child is like young than much older?
I always say you start right from day one, because from day one we talk to our children and we say, we talk these little nonsense sentences to our children like the day you were born was the best day of my life. Now for an adopted child you say, the day I fetched you from the baby home was the best day of my life. When I saw you for the first time, I was so sad for not being there for the first bit of your life. So they grow up hearing that right from the beginning. And they know my story looks different, but my story doesn't mean I'm not loved, and it doesn't mean my story is bad. It's just different.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, because I know there's someone out there who actually needed that, when do I tell? Because I know doing coaching and talking to people, there was so many who asked the question, so now when do I actually tell them that they are not my own? Because, it's better for you as a parent, to tell the children than to hear it from someone else out in the street or an auntie somewhere, because somewhere, somehow, it is going to come out.
Yep.
It is going to come out. And it's better, much better, I think, for the parents to tell the children.
Yes.
And therefore there will be, the trust. The trust factor, which is such a vital factor in today's society, is to trust. So the next question I want to ask is, in South Africa, what is the price if you adopt a child? What's the cost involved?
There is a cost.
Right.
The cost is...
I never knew that, until I did the research. I thought that the government gives the children due to the fact that they would like to actually give the children a home. So I never knew there's a cost involved until I checked it out. I said, okay, so there is a cost.
There is a cost, yeah, but I'm just speaking from my point with ever adoptions. It's not about the amount of money. So the money that you pay needs covers the process, right? Because the agency... Right. Ever adoptions have homes that they take care of. They have mothers that they take care of. So all that money that comes into needs to fund the office that they're working in. They need to fund the homes where the mothers live. They need to travel to court up and down. They need to make phone calls every day. So the money that you're paying is not, you're not buying the child. You're paying to assist ever adoptions to take you through the process. Basically,
right.
Yeah.
So does with ever adoptions, does government get a portion of that money?
No. So I can just add quickly, just to give some context. Okay, so adoption is one of the areas that's very rarely subsidized by government. So the fee that's paid in the case of adoptions is for the social worker's time. And it's indicated as such in the Act. And the Act actually makes provision for certain amounts that may be charged. So we work out what an adoption costs us, and based on that, in areas where we don't receive a subsidy, like in Gauteng, the only area that we do receive a subsidy for adoption is in Tshwane. In the rest of the Gauteng, we don't receive subsidies. And you can imagine that's further, it's more traveling, the courts over there is less accessible because we're not there. So there is a fee that we pay, and even though there is a fee that we charge, we also are very open in terms of talking about reduced fees when people cannot afford it. We don't want money ever to stand between parents becoming parents. So yeah, of course, we would like to have to keep our doors open. So we want to be economically healthy, but it's not there to enrich. We're a non-profit organization, and none of that actually ends up anywhere but in the kitty to keep the whole place running. Yeah, so fees are also very individualized. Like a second adoption is not the same fee as a first adoption because
okay.
there's less of a screening process involved.
Right.
So there's many variables. So I don't want to even just put out a number out there because I don't want to discourage people. I think putting a number out there can be, for some of them, very daunting and
Yeah,
very
it is, yes.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go and talk to your social worker. And if it's something you really cannot afford and she cannot help you based on what you can afford, she will refer you to an organization that can assist you, that maybe is subsidized for your area and will be able to be more cost effective for you.
Okay, so Leandra, I have a question here. Where's the question? So yeah, there's someone who's asking a question here. Rihanna Lynch, what happens when the child wants to meet their biological parents? Is it advisable for them to meet them at an early age?
No, actually the law is very clear that children should not. They shouldn't be in contact with the biological family before the age of 18. And the reason for that is if we look at child development and we look at what happens in different stages of emotional development of a child, between the ages of 11 to 18, a child is actually building his identity.
Right.
And that's kind of like the final phase of your run. If you think about who I am, where I belong, what my life is like. So to really meet people at that stage can really be disruptive for them in terms of building their own identity. It's also a protection measure because a child needs to give permission to meet his parents. And according to law, you can only give permission for stuff like that once you're over 18 years, because then you are seen to have the maturity to make a decision like that, knowing the full positives and the negatives of that.
And if a child maybe ask, so who's my biological mother? Do we have cases like that?
Them. They can actually, you share with your child the information that you have. And what we do as an adoption agency is we give all the information we have at our disposal, so you will know the name, you will know her age if we know that. You will know basic stuff, that did she have other children, didn't she have other children, maybe where she came from. So that kind of information is available to you to share with your child. But at the same time, a meeting and contact between the child herself or himself and the biological parent should ideally only happen after the age of 18.
Awesome. Wonderful. I like that. Oh, very informative. My last question to you, Frida, if you can please tell us, maybe there's someone listening out there, maybe share, if you can, share the number or the process that, what is the first steps that they can take if they want to adopt a child?
Okay. So it's always the easiest thing is to send an email to info@abbaadoptions.co.za. We've got a whole team of people answering these emails. If email is not possible for you, you can also go and call us on 082 342 6145. And if a social worker is not in the office, which often happens because we end up being in court, they will they normally will take the message and I will have to phone back. So there's always somebody that will call you back if there's not a social worker present. But that's your first step. Get your information, listen to a social worker. I think in an age where information is so freely available on Facebook especially and on the internet, I think it's very important to actually get it from the social worker and from the agency before you get overwhelmed with all the information that's out there.
Okay, we're freezing. Right. Okay. Thank you so very much. Can we put this in our... wait, it's freezing.
You're more than welcome.
So we can. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're more than welcome. I'll also send you after hours number, a crisis line, if you can't get hold of any other options that you can WhatsApp information to.
Right, thank you. And tell me, I think this is also an important question. Until what age can a parent adopt? Because sometimes, can elderly people adopt as well?
It's a very difficult question to answer just like that.
Yeah.
Because we always look at the whole person and the support system and other things and his medical condition. So it's not age. With none of these things, we look at one factor only. We always look at the whole person. And then whatever decision we take need to be in the best interest of a child.
Right.
So if somebody doesn't have a life expectancy of a long time, or at least until the child is 18 to early adulthood, it will not be in the child's best interest to come from a situation of loss to be exposed to more loss. So those are the kind of things we think about when we say it needs to be in the best interest of a child. So yeah, there's not a blanket answer for that, but we want to see at least that you still have the energy to deal with a toddler.
Right.
Because if any of us have dealt with a toddler before, we will know you need a whole suitcase of energy for that.
Yes. Yeah, very true. I like that answer though, because there's different stages in life, and I thought about it, my husband and I wanted to, once upon a time, we thought, our nest is empty, maybe we must adopt a child. But we didn't think about the grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? So it's good actually to think about certain things before you adopt a child. So thank you very much, Frida, for your time and coming on the show. Thank you for everything that you did for this young couple, thank you to ABBA Adoptions, allowing you actually to be on this program with us here. We really appreciate your time, and we thank you. And we thank God for you. I know it's sometimes not easy, especially when you're in court and there's a lot of things happening. But thank you so much that you look out for our children. May God bless you, and may God be with you guys, and just grant you the opportunity to see them as I see these 3 children growing up here in church. It is such a pleasure to see it, honestly speaking. And I would like to thank Candy and Serrano. Thank you so very much for your input in this show. It really is, your testimony is remarkable, honestly, and the hope that you give out there, you're giving a child hope, you're giving that child the love, you're giving that child a home. Oh my word, may you be blessed in every area of your lives, because it is not easy. I've seen a lot. These 2 eyes saw a lot, with people adopting children, but mistreating the children. You know what I'm saying? But, thank God for you guys. I look at these children all the time. I remember how excited everybody was with the little one coming the first time in service. Yes, so it's like a big family, a happy family. So we want to just take the opportunity to thank you. Thank you so much for the input and the testimony. Beautiful testimony. And to all out there, we came to the end of this show. We want to thank you. Thank you for everybody who listened to the show. Colleen, I'm going to just mention a few. Thank you so much to Adele Hayes, Sampiwe Butalezi, Rihanna, Lester Lynch. Thank you, Clorinda Kurt, and thank you so much. There's so many people who came online. We really appreciate your input, guys. Thank you so much. And if there is someone out there and you really want to adopt a child, and you want to help us in this world to give a child a home, and not let them out in the streets, because it's so dangerous in today's streets. We can't even allow our children to go out there because of the dangers in our streets. So if you want to adopt a child, get the number on the info, what will be on our site. So please go there, do the first steps as Frida said, and all the best. May God bless you as you give a home to our children. We love you. God loves you best. Go in the peace of the Lord. Mwah.
In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.